Not alive.
We're frozen. What is going on, guys? Welcome
Loading.
to Loading, the Wednesday live stream. Mark, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm glad we got all the technical difficulties done before people saw us.
We're doing some good troubleshooting now. Learning about everything from photography to a little bit of audio today.
Yeah, it's true.
So hopefully it sounds good. Mark and I are both testing out some brand new mics today. Feels good. How's everybody doing today? Happy Wednesday. You may notice our styling glasses today. If you guys have been to reef shows, you've probably seen these glasses. And one actually thing, if you don't have a camera filter, these actually work pretty well for like a improv go-to, take a photo of your tank. So that's actually a good little tip since we're wearing them. Live stream in 3D today. All right.
What does it say on the side of yours? Mine says coralwebsites.com.
I got Fritz Aquatics on mine.
Ah, Fritz Aquatics. All right.
Yep. Sound is much better. Excellent. There's lots of complaints about clickiness in my thing, so I may have splurged on a new fancy microphone to hopefully reduce that. So
that is a nice microphone. That thing was like $100, huh?
$130 plus tax.
Oh, you're paying Canadian. That's why.
Yeah, I know. It's
probably
like
100 in the US.
160 after everything. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully you guys appreciate it. Hopefully the audio sounds much better this
I
week.
think you sound beautiful.
Thank you, sir. So kind of what we want to talk about today is taking better reef tank photos. This comes many things, whether you're on Instagram trying to share nice photos of your tank with people, or if you're posting, a photo of a new coral or a creature trying to get an ID, and then you post some blue blur on the screen and no one can ID it for you. They're like, what is that? Get a better photo. And you're like, I don't know how. So today we're going to talk about different tips for getting better photos.
And this is for iPhone people only.
It works for everybody.
Android is banned.
Okay, now on that note, natively, my newer iPhone takes much, much better photos than my older iPhone. So it actually does a pretty good job on its own. So newer phones definitely handle the blues a lot better than the old ones did. So newer phones, a little more success. You got a few different ways you can do it. I mean, we can kind of touch on it all. You got everything from, iPhones or Androids, point and shoots, SLRs. So there's lots and lots of different ways to do it. And I use a mix of everything in my content, so definitely all around. Mark, you do everything on your phone, don't you?
Most of it's done on the phone. I've been using iPhones for all my reef stuff since the iPhone 6. But I do have a Nikon for DSLR pictures when I want to take really nice macro shots, or when I want to stand above the reef and get a really good shot from above. I do like that. But the iPhone has just, every year they come up with a new phone, and each time they come up with a new camera. Now, I know I'm joking about Android versus iOS. I mean, whatever. I've been using iPhone. That's what I use. But I have seen lots of people post, I think it was the Samsung 9 that did really good reef photography. People kept saying, I don't need a strip or a clip or an orange thing or nothing. I can just literally point at my tank and it looks fantastic. And that's awesome. I'm really happy for them. And so I would expect perfect pictures every single time. That's why we're doing this stream. It's not really the device, even though we both use iPhones, so we're familiar with them.
And it's mutually beneficial, because if you're posting nicer pictures, it makes me happier. A little more eye candy. You're actually going to get better responses for asking for help and ID and critters, or showing off your tank. It just makes it look better, right? So all around. This is kind of an obvious one. First thing though, clean your glass. If you're taking a photo through dirty glass, it's going to be blurry, right? You're not going to get that crisp definition. Smoking reefers. Have you ever tried a GoPro underwater? I sure have. They don't work well up close though. So for a good general overview, it works really well. But for like up close, you kind of lose it and get a bit of a blur if you're too close, unless you get some kind of a macro lens for it. But they're kind of fun. One of my favorite for underwater though, actually this little point and shoot. It takes amazing underwater photos. But we'll get to that one in a bit.
Brand and model, tell people what it is.
All right, so this one is a Panasonic TG, or no, sorry, it's not. It's an Olympus tough camera. A couple $100, but this was cheaper than buying a macro lens, and this takes amazing macros. So all my super, super crispy macros on Instagram are mostly from this guy. So I did
You
link
put it
that.
under the water.
Yeah, it's waterproof. That's the biggest thing. You don't have to worry about reflection or glare. You just dunk it in, and you can get it an inch away and get that really good definition. So
now I want one of those too. Let's do a group buy. Let's all buy one.
Buy one. Okay, but you don't need it. You don't need it. It's nice to have. Half the time though too, I also got these which one's this one? This one's the ice cap one. I have a polyp. I have like 4 different cell phone filters, and this one's a magnet one, or not magnet, magnifying glass. So if you guys saw on Instagram that little nudie prank, those little time lapses I did, that was literally just my cell phone and this little magnification clip-on filter. That's it. That's all I took those with. So you don't.
And you said
need...
it was for 5 hours.
Yeah, one was 5 hours, one was 7 hours. I plugged into a USB charger and basically did it overnight, and I did 2 or 3 of them. So, and just put on time lapse and use the macro little lens for it, and worked well. So that really cool way to do it. Now, the biggest thing, first of all, if you have LEDs, open the app, whiten up your lights. Hands down, easiest way to do it. Reef Automation, thank you for the super chat. Wouldn't be a stream without giving you a super chat. Mighty kind.
Nice.
Okay, so if you have LEDs, whiten the lights. Hands down, easiest fix. Now, if you have T5s or other ones, then obviously that's not the easiest way to do it. So the one big thing for cutting out the blue is having some type of a filter. So with these little clip-on lenses, I know, which one do you have, Mark?
I've got the Pull-Up Labs.
Yep.
So it's a whole little kit of parts, and it's got a couple. I actually am using the original one, the old school one. This one has an orange and a yellow filter stacked, and I shoot through both. But sometimes you just want to remove the orange and only use yellow. Sometimes you want to only use orange and not use the yellow. And then there is a magnifier that I almost never use. And I think there's a polarizing filter I've messed around with briefly.
Yeah. So with the magnifying filter, one thing to take note is you got to be fairly close to it. So if your coral's close to the glass, then it works well. But if it's mid in your tank, you got no hope.
Yeah.
What's the coral behind me? That is a plate coral. And Mark has a whole tank behind him.
Yeah, that's my old reef.
Yeah.
That's my 280.
Oh, it's not the current reef?
No, that's my 280 that I had for 6 years. It did really well.
Nice. Looks great.
Yeah, no, I missed that tank. It was really great.
Nice. Okay, so that's the question. Do you find you use the orange or the yellow more?
I really, like I said, I stack them. I tend to use them at the same time. Occasionally I'll look at something like, no, it doesn't look right. Now, let me tell you guys something that's really important. When you're taking pictures near your tank and you're using whatever, sometimes you look at the screen and it still doesn't look good. That's because you're standing in basking blue light. So you may end up hating what you're doing at the moment, but when you get away from your aquarium and look at your phone, you may discover that it actually looks pretty decent or it's very accurate to life. But when you're near the tank and you're looking through an orange gel and you're shooting under a blue light that's hitting the back of your phone or your camera, you might think, oh, this is still garbage. So don't just immediately assume it's bad. Take some pictures, walk away, go into the kitchen, turn on the light, and just look at the back of your phone or whatever you used and just see how they look. And if they're not right yet, go back and change the filter to a different one. When I was using these things, I got these in Seattle at a fish store. They had a whole stack of them, and they were $5 each, and I bought like 30 at once because I wanted to have them for the rest of my life. So I've got so many of these. So in here are a whole bunch of different filters that you can pick which is perfect for your lighting. And so you have a lot of choices. I must have 9 flavors in here. And it's worked out really well. Now, there's a couple that are like work the best. But from time to time, you're like, nope. You can try another one, nope. And I'll be trying to take a picture or something. I'm like, next. And I do like 9 choices. Like, of course, it was the last one.
My original one, before I had any like these fancy glass clip-on filters, was off of like a Stage Studio Lighting. And I ordered a sample pack. And it was like 200 sheets. You're like, here's every color gel possible. And I paid like $3 in shipping. It was like the most amazing deal. It was so good. And so it works so well. But that little bit of yellow or blue makes a huge difference. Now, the big thing is...
Yellow or orange.
Yellow or orange. If it's too orange, though, I find it messes with the color. So you got to find a yellow-orange.
Yeah.
If you're using something like an SLR, you can get, like the screw-on filters for the end. And I tend to use my yellow one the most. If you're going for an orange, I find a quarter or half CTO orange is what it's kind of called in photography terms, do some of the better ones.
Yeah.
Now, just to kind of show you the difference of the filter. Yeah, let me turn this. Okay. Sorry, Mark, you're hiding for a sec. So that is just the iPhone straight up, all blue. I took a picture of like, whiter rocks where I know I'd have a hard time. Now, if I put on the yellow filter, that's the yellow filter. So you can see a good chunk more detail, and same with the orange one. So you can see, it's kind of a toss up between the yellow and the orange. I kind of find the yellow works best for lighter blues and the orange works better for heavy blues. Or if they're super duper heavy, then you can kind of stack the two like Mark does. So it kind of depends on the blue level that you're dealing with.
What a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Dramedy, pill bottle, old school. There you go. That does work too. If you've been to a show, these glasses also work awesome. One really cool one I like, actually. It's kind of a polarized yellow one. I don't even know what the brand name is. It's like, I believe it's some Taiwanese company that I got sent it a while back. But this guy works really well. It's just super tiny, clips on. So, what's your favorite of all the ones you've tried? Mark.
I lost my audio.
That's why. Did your headphones die? Oh, you lost them.
Hang on.
Okay, sounds good. There's a trick with the iPhone to point your iPhone at the tank, open the camera. That actually can work. I have done that too. If you're looking at something else, it kind of sets the sensor for it, and then you go to your tank, and it won't be as good. But when you open it on the tank, it does render the colors better. 100% agree with that, and thanks for pointing that one out there, Derek. So it definitely makes a decent difference. Now, another thing that you can do is kind of tweak your photos afterwards to color correct for it. So with that one, drag this back up. So this is just the one I snapped earlier for the thumbnail. But my favorite app for this is a free app from Google, and it's called Snapseed. And this one, so I'm gonna take just the where's the first one? Okay, so that photo is 100% all blue. And if you go to tools, and you can warm up the image. So one of the biggest things you're doing by warming it up is sucking out the blues. So if I warm it up, it kind of kills a lot of that blue and brings a lot of the color back. So that's another one that works really well for tweaking photos. I'm not a fan of like when they're like overly saturated, but I do like to kind of perfect it and make it as close as you can to real life. That's always kind of my goal with it. So even with a filter, if you take it, if you suck out the warmth, you can see how it goes bluer, right? Which you normally see, you start warming it up and then you start getting all those colors back. And the key is to warm it up enough to make it look close to the real eye without overdoing it. So it's just these subtle little tweaks that can make a big difference. So this one is called Snapseed.
I think it's Snapseed.
Yeah, Snapseed, sorry, thank you. So Snapseed, and 100% free. It's by Google, so it'll be on Android, Apple. So usually if you go into the structure, you can drag the structure up a little bit, and it just pulls a bit more detail out of it. Again, if you do too much, it will start to give some weird little artifact things that doesn't look as good. So a little bit of structure and a little bit of warmth is usually all you need to kind of like pull out the normal colors out of a photo. So it's a really good way to kind of tweak it. Ambient, same thing. Subtle can look good. Too much will mess with your colors. There's another one for shadows. So if it's really dark, it kind of lightens the dark areas in your photo. So you can either add contrast to it or suck it out. But it's another really good one. So super duper easy. So that's kind of that other one. I know a few people mentioned that iPhone or that camera app, aquarium camera app. I've never used that. Never really seen the point of it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. But Snapseed, really well, 100% free. So that one I like.
Yeah.
You got
See, for me, I edit with the actual editor in the iPhone. Mm-hmm. So you just go to your camera roll or camera photos, or whatever they call it these days, and you select your picture. I almost never share a picture straight off my phone to the internet. Mm-hmm. I usually put it through a couple of steps, and it's not a major change. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can hit the magic wand and boom, it gets it pretty close, but I'm not a big fan of magic wand because it kind of overdoes everything and makes it look super intense, like Disneyland at night. So instead, I like to add a little bit of contrast and a little bit of black. And usually those two little tweaks is all you need. And then, of course, I crop it to show what I'm trying to show. Yeah. And I also oftentimes pivot the picture if it's not in the right orientation, because I just can't stand sharing the picture in the wrong orientation. You know, I don't want you have to turn your head sideways or spin your phone around on your lap trying to look at it. So I try to correct that. And then I upload it to the web. Mm-hmm. And the actual editor is really good.
It is,
then
actually.
When it comes to video, that's a whole other ball of wax. And I did want to get into that when you're ready. I don't want to jump ahead. So you just, whenever you do that, we'll have stuff to say about that too.
No, I'm actually editing one right now, and the app actually looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. Nice. Not bad. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it is.
And you can adjust, so you can hit the magic wand.
Yep.
And then from there, you can go into each of those and just change the one that made it different, that you weren't happy with, to kind of undo it slightly. And if you tap the screen where the picture is, it'll show you what it looked like first, and then you tap it again and it shows the finished product. So you can kind of do a preview look. It's kind of neat.
Nice. Yeah, I did the magic wand and then just up the warmth, and it actually looked pretty darn good. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it didn't take a lot of work, and then it saves. And the beauty of it is, with the iPhone, if once you save it, if later on you need that picture for some other purpose, you can hit revert and go back to what it was originally. It's not like you've overwritten it and destroyed it. So you have the ability to go back and recorrect it if the edit wasn't right, or you want to remove some words you'd put on top of it or something like that. You can get back to the original picture.
That is handy. I didn't know you could revert it forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Okay, video. What are your kind of video pro tips since you were starting to go down that rabbit hole?
Okay, so whenever I video, I always put the phone in horizontal mode. That's super important. I can't stand seeing vertical video. And it's like, I know you hold your phone like that, but I shoot horizontal.
Instagram live video is your only excuse. That's it. Okay, sorry, Karen.
And then I use my clip and I put it on there. And when they came out with this clip, everyone's excited. And then, iPhone changed the way the camera's oriented. And it was like, oh no, the clip won't work and I have to modify it. I have to drill the holes. You actually don't. You can still put the clip on there and get 2 of your lenses that work. And then if you want to get to the third one, you just have to push it down to the third one and you can still use it. So it still works. And so either way, you're set. It's just might have to move it slightly. But so I always put it on my phone first, and then I'll shoot in horizontal mode. And then the most important part is when you're holding the phone and you've got a picture on there, you want to tap different parts of the screen to get rid of the blown out area. So if your area is just completely, like there's like this section that's so white and so bright, touching the brightest spot on your phone will darken the whole picture down and make that part look visible. And if it's too dark, you have to hit another spot. And you try to find that happy medium and then, start shooting. And then, most importantly, because it's video, once you have that sweet spot where it looks just right, if you'll hold your finger on the screen for about 2 seconds, it locks the aperture exposure and the autofocus, so it won't change anymore. And that way you can just film the entire thing locked in and it won't change the exposure levels.
Yep. And when you're holding it to lock it, you can also drag your finger up and down to make it brighter or darker to kind of compensate or tell it where you want it to be. Which is
and then it'll stay there, which is awesome. Now, if you're moving back and forth closer and to the subject and away from the subject, that'll mess up focus because it's locked. So you may, if you decide to move your camera closer because you're trying to show us an octopus, for example, you're going to have to retouch it to unlock and then maybe lock again, so it doesn't fluctuate and keep trying to change focus and give you this blurry shot. So we want to focus, lock, adjust the brightness to where it looks sweet as you're recording. And then if you make any changes, you got to retouch and adjust.
Yeah. No, good way to do it. Do you use a built-in camera app or do you use any fancy ones?
I am still using the one built in. I mean, it works great, but Filmic came out with a really amazing app that I haven't actually downloaded yet. And it was promoted at the Apple show where you could do interviews and you could use both sides. Did you buy the Pro version?
I have it. I haven't actually used it for anything yet. Okay.
Yeah, so I still need to try it. But the idea is that if we were doing an interview together, like somewhere, we could set the camera on a tripod and we could face each other with the camera between us, and then whoever's phone is being used, they can control which camera is happening, and you could actually touch the back. And now it shows me talking to the camera because it's using the FaceTime camera, and I can ask my question and I can touch the screen and it jumps back to you. So you're cutting scenes live during a video edit, which is really cool, or during a video filming. It's really cool.
I'll actually show you guys this one. So you can kind of see all the different cameras at once, and you select the 2 that you want. So if I select, those 2, then I'm like, yep, okay, then those are the 2 that I will use. So I haven't actually used this. I guess the only thing is you'd have to orientate it properly for it to show up nicely and not be like some weird goofy angle and you're trying to get both of you half in focus. But it's super cool. One of these days I'll actually have to use it. But it's cool that you can get 2 at once.
Yeah. No, it totally is.
So that's by Filmic Pro. And there's Filmic Pro. Actually, let me pull that one up. So that's also a very cool camera app. And this guy, hey Mark. So this guy, same thing. You can set custom audio levels or different audio devices. You can kind of set, specific frame rates if you're trying to be all fancy and like cinematic and all that type of stuff. So that's also a really cool one for filming. And there's another app that's a couple bucks, but it's called Filmic Viewer, which I used to use. So it's been a little while since I used it. But you could set it up to be Like if you have an iPad, your iPad could be like your camera screen for your phone that's on a tripod, and you can kind of monitor and start and stop filming. So really cool. So that's one that I used to use back in the day before I started using the SLR. Still use it once in a while, but
Yeah. I just find that the iPhone can do so much when it comes to filming that it's actually a hassle to get out my DSLR. And I don't like filming on it. I don't mind taking stills, but if I want to shoot in HD, which this is a 2009 camera, it's really old. At best, I'm getting 1080p. And it has a limit of 5 minutes, and then it turns off.
Ah, that's a pain.
And then you have to start. And so when I was doing interviews back in the days of Reef Addicts, I would do an interview with someone at a table, and I'd ask a question. They'd talk for 3 or 4 minutes, or they'd be in the middle of what they're saying, and I'd have someone behind the camera saying, stop, and we'd wait. And then they'd have to hit, start again, like continue, and you had to finish his sentence. It was terrible. It's like, oh God, we had to edit this mess together. So I really didn't like that part. And so, yeah, using for example, a cell phone that has unlimited hard drive space, and it lasts as long as your battery's good.
Yep.
You can go a long time and film. I've done 1 hour video interviews where we just hit record and it's just super static. Nothing moves, just 2 people talking, and the thing just recorded the whole thing. 16 gigs later, I was done.
Perfect. That's good. Jessica J, any recommendations for an iPhone tripod? Any tripod will work. The biggest thing is getting one of the little clips. You can buy them off Amazon for like $5-10, but one of the clips that hold your cell phone in place. That's the biggest one. So I think I had one. I haven't used it in a while, but I had one for the iPhone. I had another one that hold the iPad, and a couple different ones. But it's just a little screw-on kind of clip-on thing. But that's one of the biggest ones. Now
I've got one to show you.
Okay.
So this one here is by a company called Shoulder Pod, and it's a handle that you would put your phone in. So like if I take my phone, it's got the clip on there. Just a second, somebody's trying to call me.
How dare they?
So I would put my phone into the holder. Adjust this slightly. It's hard to do this when I'm doing it on a live stream. Why is it easy all the rest of the time? All right, so now my phone, I'll make sure it's secured. Okay. So now I've got my phone on here. There's my my filter. I can hold it because there's a handle I can grab onto, and I can just hold it like this, and I can film back and forth. It even comes with a strap to go around your wrist so you don't drop it. I've actually used this on a roller coaster once, and trust me, I held on really tight the whole time and filmed the whole ride, which is insane. Now,
that's some trust.
The nice thing about this product, Shoulder Pod, I think this was like $39. You can unscrew this handle. By the way, TSA hates this thing. They always think I have a weapon. And then here in the bottom, you've got a screw hole that's meant to go on a regular tripod. And so I have an actual 3-legged tripod that is adjustable and portable, and it's good for all my trips. And I mount it on the plate and set the camera on top, and it keeps it stable. And and it's got a nice ball joint, so I can tilt it any direction slightly to kind of get the right shot. And I actually used it on my last live stream when I was demonstrating how to work with acrylic. And I used this same holder, and I used this phone to be a third camera for the live stream.
Nice. That's perfect.
So this holder's awesome. Shoulder Pod is what you want to get.
Shoulder Pod? Okay. Do I have it handy? Greg was just mentioning one by Manfrotto or Manfrotto, whatever it is. I think I actually have that one. I don't know if I can see it.
Oh, the Manfrotto tripod?
It's like a little mini one, little legs extend and stuff. But yeah, it works pretty good.
And then they have that little rubbery one that everyone likes to buy, the Gorilla Pod. Did you mention that already? You probably did.
No, I didn't actually. I haven't used those.
You can wrap it around a pipe and lock it on and mount your phone. As long as you have something that grabs the phone, that's the important part. Once you got this, you can put it on any tripod because the screw is that standard 420 thread.
Quarter 20. That's actually another point. If you want to make your own tripod accessories, same thing. Just go to the hardware store, quarter 20 nut, and you can glue it on or fix it on things and make your own. Like I have 3D printed mounts, then like put one of those nuts in the bottom and then made it like a nice little.
That's awesome.
Screw on thing. So you get some pretty good stuff with that.
Yeah.
Lots of people are saying their little handheld one that you got, they always get in trouble at the airport. They have to unscrew it and verify it.
Yeah, TSA hates that thing. I even have separated it, and they looked at my bag through the x-ray, and they saw both parts. I'm like, what is this? And I said, it holds my phone for filming, and they're just like,
my before I got the small little tiny wireless mics, my other ones that I have, my big ones, are big metal ones. Every single time they search my bag because they're so dense and metal that the scanners always freak out about it. Yeah. But yep.
Now you have that really nice device that takes care of the motion.
Gimbals?
Yes.
Yes, gimbals are handy. Ah, look at that. There's one on my desk.
Look at that.
That was not planned. I lent this to a friend. So if you want to be extra fancy, so some of the new phones, like this has pretty dang good image stabilization built in, the newer iPhone. Same with GoPro, they're really good. Like you can walk around, you don't even need a gimbal. However, if you do want to add it, you can get a cell phone gimbal, and these guys smooth out the motion for you and make your video super duper smooth. Yeah, it's probably all off because it was set up for his phone. And the battery's dead. So, can't show you that one.
Oh, no, the battery. And that's the one thing. Make sure everything's charged before what you're gonna get, you're about to do. In the old days, when we would have problems with our reef tanks, we're on forums discussing whatever's wrong with our tank. We're like, can you post a picture? My camera's battery is dead. I'm like, God, why do you always have a dead battery? Charge your batteries. Have your camera ready, because every day something cool is going to happen to your tank. You need to be ready.
This is true.
And to just say, well, I haven't charged my battery in 6 weeks. Like, what is wrong with you?
Why not?
And nowadays, everyone's got a cell phone. They charge it like once, twice a day. Same thing goes for gear. If you're doing interviews, you want to charge up all your batteries, on your microphones. You want to charge up the battery on your phone. You want to charge up on the gimbal. Anything you got to plug in, you want to make sure it's completely topped off so you don't lose what you're trying to accomplish when it's time to actually film.
You should see my hotel room when we're going to shows. It's like an octopus of like 80 different like charging wires. Like, oh, charge this mic and that receiver and this cell phone and my backup battery and this battery. It's like ridiculous.
Do you bring the 6-way power strip with you so you can plug everything into one outlet? I've done that.
Yeah, I have one that has 4 USB chargers on it, so I usually use that one. But yeah, it's like, so I'll charge them all when I get back. When I go to bed, I swap to the next set of batteries or whatever. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so many little things now. No wireless mics. I mean, there's four more things to plug in, so it's kind of ridiculous.
When I was using AA batteries on my other wireless mics, I would buy like a 24-pack and throw the whole thing in the suitcase. And every day I would just throw the batteries away and put in a new set so I was fresh for the day. I didn't want to find out in the middle of an interview it was gone.
Yep, that's the worst.
And even then things go wrong. Even though, it's like, and this is what I was talking about with you earlier today. Sometimes when you're trying to film something and you're trying to use microphones and you think you're being fancy, there's so much weird radiation happening around you, like at Macna or Reefapalooza. All those DC pumps, all those Wi-Fi LEDs, and you're just surrounded with gear, and you might end up with no audio whatsoever, or the audio's all chopped up like someone was just like playing with your mic the whole time. And that's happened. It's been very frustrating to finally sit down at the computer and try and play it back and find out you have nothing. I did like a 30 or 40-minute interview with Robert from Marine Depot. And when we were done, I said, okay. And I said, thank you for your time. And I walked away and I hit play, and all you heard was, I was like, no, are you kidding? So I fast forward and it was like, there was just pure white noise the whole thing. So I went back to Robert and said, so can we do that entire interview all over again? And he's like, what? I said, I'm so sorry. Can we just reenact it like we never did it? And so we did a second interview, and that's the one that ended up on my YouTube. But man, I was so frustrated because I loved it. It was unscripted. It didn't sound like a sales pitchy thing. We just kind of were walking around having a good time and talking about things we liked. And now we had to kind of like act like we were enjoying things, and it was not the same, all because the gear didn't cooperate. So these things do happen. You have to keep that in mind.
So,
and I realize we're talking about YouTubers and we're talking to people that are just with a tank. But they might want to do something fancy. They might want to do their own YouTube channel. So it's nice to kind of know some extra tidbits to keep in mind.
Well, even on the other side, if you got some new fish, some new coral, you want to show it off, or or you're asking, how do I deal with whatever this fish is pest? Being able to take a good quality, good definition video of it is going to get you better help and better responses, right? So we're more on the YouTuber perspective because we create a lot of videos and photos and content. However, though, being able to take that better quality stuff is going to help you as well. So there's both ways to look at it. And it's not even like, that's the word, but you can do it with the stuff you already have. That's the big thing, right? This and a pair of glasses is instantly a huge upgrade on your photos versus that blurry blue blob that you're asking for an ID on.
Exactly. Now, I want to talk about one other thing that people do, and they don't always notice. And I'm still talking about iPhones because that's what I know. If you are looking at your videos inside photos, you're not in the camera itself, but you're in the review. You're looking at what you made. You can pick one video, and at the top of the screen, there's the word edit. Click edit, and then you can actually get rid of the sound So you're only uploading a nice clean video without the humming sound of your sump or the water cascading. Or I mean, that's just the simplest. You can just hit edit, touch that off, and hit save, and boom, you have an audio, or you have a video with no audio on it at all. If you want to add your own audio, iMovie, I believe, is a free app now. It used to you have to buy it in the old days, but now I think you just get it when you get a new phone. And with iMovie, you can load the videos in. You can actually pick the clips and just paste them in there. And then there's an option to add a voiceover, and you can narrate over it to tell us, like, my skimmer, I adjusted it, and when I turn off the return pump, the skimmer overflowed. You can literally tell us your story, and it'll sound nice and clean and understandable without all the background noise. Because you can do that in your living room away from the tank, for example, and then you hit save, and you're ready to upload the final polished video. So I know I'm taking it beyond, but there's no reason you can't. You actually own the same phone I do, so why not do the same thing I'm doing?
Exactly, 100%. So that's the thing. You don't need super fancy equipment. And, if you don't have a fancy camera filter, go to like your Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, and get like a pair of $5 yellow safety glasses. And it's already going to make a huge improvement on photos. So there's all these little things you can do. Or get those like sample gels or the yellow cellophane or orange cellophane. Like any of these things will work.
I like that advice, and I like that you didn't suggest the orange pill bottle for like getting your prescription. Because that never looks good, because the bottom of the bottle is not smooth. It's got like weird indentations and a dimple in the middle. And it's like, okay, yeah, you filtered out the blue and you took a picture through a prescription bottle.
But it
kind of looks like that. So instead,
having
getting these little tiny
clear
gels. Or getting these little gels here. You can get these on Amazon. And you can buy one sheet for like $3. I mean, you got a monster pack. That was crazy. But I've seen it's like a 10 by 10 sheet. You can cut out pieces, a little piece at a time and use it up. If it gets ruined, just cut another little square and just have it for the next one. And you can do things like hold it over. I mean, okay, so here's something I did in the old days. So I'll show you. You need a rubber band.
Yes.
So I've got that. And we've got my phone. So I'll take my rubber band. This one's, of course, a little too loose, but we'll just fold it twice. I don't care. Now Siri's trying to help me.
Oh, I know. She always pops up during stream.
Because I hit the button. All right. So then you've got that there. And then you can take your gel and you can slide it under the rubber band. Make sure your rubber band isn't on the actual lens. And now you've got it like this on the phone. And then when you're done, you can just take it and you can just slide it down, because now you're not taking a picture in your blue tank. Maybe you're taking a picture in the sump where the lighting is white. So you can just move it down. It's still with you, so you know where it is. But then when you're ready, you can slide it right back up where you need it and continue your shot.
Perfect. So that's what, a 30-cent piece of film, if that?
Yeah.
10 cents?
Yeah. It's nothing. And it's just such a nice solution. I've done things like tape it on, but then you got to take it off, and you don't want to ruin the tape because you want to stick it on later. The rubber band thing worked so well for me, so I really like that.
That's a good way to do it. I like it. I used to like be really ghetto and like try and like cram it between like the cell phone case and the phone, and it would hold it. It worked well.
Yeah.
But it gets crinkled after a while if you don't use the same spot every time and all that jazz. So rubber band's a good tip. I like it. All right, so we got video down. We got most of the photos. I did actually a couple of years ago. I did a video on like taking better cell phone videos. Just remember that. One other cool thing too for top downs. If you go to like a dollar store or like those kind of places, you get a little acrylic trays. And I've used those. They're like a couple bucks, and I've used those for top down photos. And Mark probably has really fancy ones he's made.
I have one fancy one.
Let's see what you got.
I'm getting it right now. See, I forgot to bring it over here.
It's a good thing I reminded you.
Yeah. Look at this fancy, awesome box. Like, it's got my logo. Self-promotion, I love it. So this box here is clear on the bottom, and I can just set my phone in there, and I can set it on the surface of the water, and then I can just touch the screen to focus on the item I'm trying to take a picture of. So you're tapping to focus, and then you hit the shutter button to take the picture. You can also hold the button down for burst mode, and you'll take 90 pictures really quick in like 10 seconds. And then you can pick which is the best picture of the set, which is handy. Burst mode is great. So now you got 90 pictures on your phone. You touch it, and I think you hit edit, and then you'll pick the one you want, and you'll say keep one favorite, and it deletes the other 89. So you don't lose the space on your phone. So you definitely want to. Burst is super handy, especially with a fish that's moving really fast. You can just, even if you're taking a picture of the front of your tank and you just got your phone up and you're taking a picture, you can just hit burst, and then you can do video. And inside a video, you can actually touch a white button and it'll take a still right out of the video. Or you can screenshot a frozen part of the video and it's a picture you can share because the fish was in focus for that heartbeat. So there's so many things you can actually do. Like I said, I use the iPhone for everything. But when you can take your phone and like you were talking about, some kind of a clear tray or something to put it in. In my case, I make this box. I set the phone in there. And now I'm able to take pictures. There's no reflections whatsoever. My phone is safe from getting wet, even though they make them more and more waterproof. It's still nice to know it's staying dry. And then I make these boxes where they have legs on the bottom. So when you put this on the counter, when you're done, it doesn't scratch your viewing panel. That's so important.
I like that.
And a lot of trays people have, or they get these round ones, like eShops makes one that's flat.
Yep.
You set on the counter, scratch. And if you slide it, or if some friend comes over and moves it out of the way for you and they slide it across the counter, you're like, no, you're scratched. Yeah, see, it's a little scuffed up looking. So my little legs thing.
I like the legs. That's good.
Patent pending. No, I'm kidding. It's been there forever. No one wants to recreate it because it's the hardest way to make them. But these boxes work out really well, and they fit almost any smartphone out there. Even the Maxes fit in these things. This is a 4-inch wide by 8-inch length. And of course, if you needed one even larger, I could do it if it was necessary.
And now, on that note, you have one side that's clear. Do you ever put your phone at an angle and like 45 it in the water?
Yeah, actually what I'll do is I'll put my phone in this direction.
Yeah.
So the lens is down here. And I did that on purpose because sometimes your corals are so close to the surface of the water, you can't get a picture. It's out of focus. So you lift it above the water. Well, now you got the ripples. So I thought, okay, what if I have a coral like right here that's near the surface, about to touch the water? I can get a picture right from the side, like 2 inches away, whatever the minimum focal length of the iPhone is. And I can shoot video really close up to the item instead of 3 feet away through some glass.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that's why I did one side clear.
Nope, I like it. Okay, another food for thought. I did link this one if you guys want to check it out, but this is the Olympus Tough Cameras. So, full disclosure, I threw an Amazon link below. But this is, I was looking at buying a macro lens for my Sony camera, and they were like $800-900. This was a couple $100, and it takes amazing photos. So the biggest thing with this one, it's okay. So this is an older one. This is, I don't know, TG4 or something like that, 3, 4, whatever it is. The newer one, I find the white balance to set it a little more of a pain in the butt to do it, but you can set, I guess I can't really screen share the camera, but you can do custom white balances by taking a photo of something. So you take a photo of the sand and it sets your white balance, and it is amazing how well, no filters, it cuts through any blue, it does an amazing job. So that's, I actually, a lot of my super duper macros, I use that now just because it's easier than the DSLR. You don't have to worry about reflections on the glass and all that jazz, and you can just dunk it in and be 2 inches away from it and take good photos.
Add to cart, $349. I can have it by Friday. $349. What happened to your $200 phone? Camera you told us about.
Mine is a couple generations older. That is a new one, which the old ones are hard to find unless you find a used one. But I don't know. I'll show you.
Hey, if it does the job, it might be worth the money.
If you look at how much is a macro lens for your Nikon?
Oh, you're right. I mean, it's close to $1,000. I know. But I have one already.
Yeah, well, then you don't need it. You already have one.
I know, but I love new gear.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't argue that logic. Everyone likes new gear. Here, let me screen share it. So I think all my photos actually go into an album from the camera when I import them.
So this is an affiliate link. Does that mean you get $25 if I buy this? So this thing's really $325?
Maybe. I don't know. Might have can. Okay.
Look at that. Even in the URL, I see Reef Dudes right there in there.
Hey.
Actually, it says Reef Dudes 20. I wonder if that means 20% or you get $20.
I have no idea. It just does that.
I'm totally messing with you.
20. Okay, there we go. Okay, so like a lot of these, you can't see them, Mark, but like these are legitly straight out of that camera. Like this is all my Olympus ones. So the white balance on it is absolutely amazing. So it's food for thought. If you're thinking about buying a macro lens, way cheaper, and you get amazing photos.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Just mail me yours so I can try it out.
Yeah. So
actually, we'll mail it to everyone that watches this video so everyone can try it out. And you'll finally get it back and so broken and ruined and wet. You're like, I'm buying the new one.
Pretty much. But yeah, I don't know. The biggest thing is for me is you don't need a filter. You can set the white balance on it. Wow. Now, I borrowed my buddy's and the newer one was a little bit more of a pain to set the white balance than the older one, but you still get pretty good ones. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, I hate mushrooms, but that mushroom looked really good.
Thank you. So food for thought. Just because it's cheaper than a thing, but
Did
even
you use
cheaper
that camera for
is a cell phone.
Aptasia?
I did some of the photos were from this camera.
Yeah.
The time lapse was from my phone,
Right.
using the little macro clip-on lens.
Yeah.
And then I had it by the thing, and I had a little. I actually had my work iPhone on top through the eShops thingy, just as like a
Yeah,
stand. So there was one
Oh.
iPhone lighting it, and the other
Yeah.
iPhone was doing the time lapse.
Awesome. Yeah, you said
Yeah.
something about lighting because I watched your video that came out last Monday, and you had that circle sitting on top of the tank, and I thought, and you said something about lighting, and I thought,
Yeah, that was
I
just
was
holding the
guessing
phone
you were
for light.
filming from above, but you were just putting light down from above from the light of the cell phone.
Yeah, it was just a phone with the
Flashlight.
flashlight on. Oh yeah, so there you go. Whoever was asking, did I use it for the thing behind me? Yep. So that clip behind me is a clip with this guy.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, it's amazing photos for the price. So.
Oh,
If you
let's
want-
talk about the flash. Because
Yes.
cell phones, they use flash a lot of times. The newer iPhone has this weird time lapse thing where, not time lapse, it's like a countdown for dark environments, but that doesn't work on moving things. If you're taking a picture of your backyard, it can count down for 3 seconds and give you this perfectly crisp shot that looks like the moon was full moon. But for our aquariums, if it's kind of dim, that doesn't work. So you may need to use the flash. And if you use the flash, it's going to reflect off the glass. And one thing I don't like about the iPhone, it's something they did in the last couple of versions of the firmware. They've really buried how to turn the flash on and off.
Oh, I know.
You can disable it, but when you want to actually use it, it's like touch here, touch this, unfold that. Now you can hit this. I'm like, why would you make this so difficult? I want to either use it or not. And this whole burying it inside a submenu is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I keep hoping that enough people in the real Apple community, the ones that work at Apple, are complaining to their boss saying, seriously, we have to put this back where it belongs.
I will complain to you for you.
But there are
that
times when that flash is necessary for taking pictures with your phone or shooting video.
Now, if you have a DSLR and you want to take pictures of fish and other stuff, having an off-camera flash, hands down, a way to go. You can get little cables, or you can get the flashes that have wireless. And what I used to do actually was hold the flash above the tank, so it's shooting straight down, and then you're taking a photo through the front, so you don't have to worry about the reflections, but you get that instant flash to freeze stuff. It works really well if you're trying to take photos of fish and that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, an offshoot flash is fantastic for DSLR. And I don't know if they've ever come up with anything to give you that extra flash with a cell phone. I don't know if they have that technology to where, because some are triggered off of a flash going off.
Yeah.
So in theory, maybe you could make one actually notice the flash of a cell phone, but I don't know if it would be effective. Again, you're dealing with the reflection hitting the glass, so it may not cooperate nicely. But yeah, you're right. When you're using DSLR, and I know not a lot of people have them, but enough people do, it's nice to know these options.
Exactly. But now, if you are using your phone, as probably 90% of you are, having phone sensors, if there's good light, they can take awesome photos. If it's low light, they take crappy photos. They can do amazingly well, but you need that light. So the other thing is, sometimes when I was taking photos of my tank, I would brighten up the tank lights. Let's set those radions instead of like 60, 70%, put it up to 100%. Just crank the light, and then you get tons of detail, and you're making it really easy for your phone sensor to be able to take in that detail and have a short shutter so everything's more crisp.
Now let's talk about that for a second, the whole taking a picture of your tank, because that's mainly the whole point of this video. When we are shooting our tanks, one of the worst habits we do as human beings is, because we can see it with our eyes, we think the camera can too. And the camera doesn't have the same technology that our eyeballs do. So if you are seeing something down in the lower right corner of your tank, and you just hold the phone and shoot at a diagonal toward that direction, you're going diagonal through a sheet of glass, and it deflects and ruins the shot, or it looks distorted. So you need to actually move with your camera over to that corner and shoot straight at the subject as best you can. And I know sometimes it's tricky, or the thing's in the worst spot possible, or there's a patch of coralline algae blocking the view, so you have to kind of do this number from the edge. But the most part, what I really like to do when I'm taking pictures is put my phone right on the glass. So it's literally touching the glass, cannot move. I got my hand stabilizing it so it won't wiggle. I touch the screen to adjust the brightness, and I get the focal point working, and I take the picture. And I don't see people doing that a lot. They usually stand near the tank. They're doing this kind of number like this, and and their hands are floating and they take the picture, and it might work, but if you put it on the glass, you're not going to get any reflections. You're not going to see yourself in the reflection, and you're going to get a nice clean shot. So that's a really important one, but obviously don't scratch your tank with any camera that touches someone's glass. You got to hold it and keep it there.
Now, if you can't have it right against the glass, use your fingers to do like a little tripod, right? So you got it floating a little bit off and put your fingers on it to keep it steady. Because that having your phone steady, not shaky, also makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes you have to do the little finger tripod because the item is so close to the glass, it's too close for the camera.
Yeah.
Like if, let's say you wanted to get a picture of a copepod or an amphipod, and they're scurrying on the glass, and you put your phone on the glass and it's a quarter of an inch away, the camera's like, what is that? I see the mushroom in the background, but I don't see the bug on the glass that's, this close. So you may have to finger tripod it away just far enough, hold it really still, and shoot the picture. And after the picture's done, look at it. If it's not right, take it again. That's the one that drives me crazy when people post a picture like, well, that's the best I could get. I'm like, no, it's not. The best you could get would be good. But what you did,
not
you
filmed.
took one shot and you posted it and you didn't care, and you're expecting us to pull out a miracle and explain what we think we're seeing.
What do you think this blue blur is? Can I get an idea? It's like,
I don't want to get political, but I'm going to for a second. It's so funny, and oh my God, I'm going to cause chaos in your audience. But this kind of scenario is just like when Trump says something, and then people say, well, what he means is this. And I keep hearing out what he meant. I'm like, but he said this. Oh, well, he means this. I'm like, you guys keep putting a filter on it. And so it's the same thing with our cameras. We're trying to get a picture of something, and we want to know what it is. So you need to do your best with your picture. And, over the years, I have apparently corrected a few people in photography. I just posted something like, this would look better if you did this, or I recommend this, or I actually took their picture, threw it in Photoshop and fixed the problem and gave it back to them better. And then, I'd forget about it. It was done and done, right? And then years later, someone posts a picture on the web and I'm like, oh, that's really nice. And they're like, wow, that's a compliment coming from you. I'm like, well, it's a good picture. I mean, of course I'm going to say it's nice. I'm like, well, you really ripped me a new one when I posted something 5 years ago. I'm like, I did? And they're like, oh my God, but you know what? You made me do it better. You made me get better. And I was like, you're welcome? Because now I feel bad, and I didn't mean it in a harsh way. I guess I was just not happy with what they'd done, and I was recommending, but it came across the wrong way maybe? I don't know. But that's not been once. I've heard that like 6 times. So apparently in the past I might have been a little bit more direct about photography because it mattered. We want everything to look really nice.
Well, it still does. I moderate a few Facebook groups, and I see so many ideas, and half time they're just blurry. I'm just like, okay. I'm like, okay, we need to work on this and get some better photos, and it helps everybody.
Let's go into that for a second, because there's another thing that people do that sometimes actually hurts their project. They're trying to take the picture of something, and so what they do is they zoom in with their phone to the most point they can, and then they take the picture, and it's like 18 pixels.
Yes.
Because they zoomed in, the lighting was low, and the picture's not good. So instead, it's so much better to don't zoom. Go ahead and take the picture in full 12 megapixel or whatever your phone can do, and then crop down to the piece you care about and post that piece, that 2 inches that matters, and it probably will look 10 times better. And you can actually take the picture and crop, and then zoom and take the picture, and now look at both on your phone and see which looks better to you. And you'll see why we're saying don't zoom in, take a good picture and then crop, and then share.
And it's just like a fake digital zoom anyways on most things, right? Especially on your phone. Like, I know like the new one has like the telephoto lens in the other one, but anything beyond those 2 defaults is a digital kind of fake zoom, right? So 100% just take it at the native one and you'll likely get a better photo. And if possible, just move closer.
Yeah. And like I said, put it on the glass if you can to get you closer to the subject.
Or another option, if you're taking a picture of like a frag or a coral or something, it's too far away. If it's on a rock or something movable, move it close to the glass.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So get your hand wet and whatever, get it close, but you're going to get a much, much crispier, better photo out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So some people don't understand digital and optical zoom are not the same. 100%. Optical zoom is like a true zoom, where digital zoom is like we're faking it and they're really just blowing up those pixels. So you lose your quality. It is faking it.
They're 10 timesing it. I mean, come on.
And your pixels are now 10 times bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Yeah, use the native resolution. A big thing is to clean your glass. So many people don't clean their glass, and there's like a drip or run going, and it results in like a blur through whatever you're taking a photo of. Use your scraper. Take a little paper towel and just give it a little shine. It'll make
Hey,
things look
speaking
much
of
better.
that, another thing you can do, and you might not have set up your tank this way. You might have set up your tank, you threw it on the stand, you ran all the wires and everything down the back, and you can see all the wires running down the back because it's clear. So
Mm.
if you could rig something behind the tank, even just for the photo shoot,
Mm-hmm.
that's like some kind of a black material, whether it's fabric or it's some kind of black foam board, which is like they use for signs, you could slide it in there. There's also a type of material called coroplast that's the same stuff they use for those signs that says vote for Trump or vote for Biden or whatever. It's those hard plastic signs that are corrugated. You can set that in the back. You'll see lines, like a million of them because that's the material it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't see all the wires. You won't see the salt creep and all that going down the back of the tank. And your whole aquarium will look better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to get really creative with your tank, if you want it to look phenomenal, you put on the black background, you clean the glass like Devin said, and then you go ahead and you start taking out the heaters, taking out the skimmers, taking out everything, take out the pumps, and take your fantastic picture and then put all the gear back in.
Mm-hmm.
Because, some of these amazing pictures we see of tanks, like, oh my God, I want my reef to look like that. You start looking, you're like, well, there's no gear. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they set up a Hollywood set. They made the perfect scenario for this one fantastic picture. And then that picture gets shared across the web for the next 10 years of this is the tank you want to achieve. And you're looking at there's no filtration. There's nothing there.
It's a box of water.
Perfect.
There's not even an overflow.
Yeah, there's not even water.
What?
Yeah. Think about you don't want any lights on in the room
Mm-hmm.
because that will cause a reflection off the glass.
That's
So
my
I
issue
love
now.
taking pictures at night
Mm-hmm.
instead of during the daytime. And when I'm taking a picture of my reef, a lot of times my kitchen light is on. And the kitchen light bounces off of that mirror, which goes onto the front of my tank.
Yeah.
Or my television is on. And so the reflection off the glass is my television. I can see a piece of Star Wars or something on my screen. Or there's a light down to the end of the hallway. And so I'm looking at the tank. And so I go turn off that light, turn off that light, turn off the TV, get the shot of the tank, now put everything back on. And there's people that have like mini blinds that reflect off the glass. And so all you see are slats across the entire aquarium or bouncing off the side. And the same thing when I take a picture of the end of my tank, I can see the backyard. If I stand dead center on the tank and take a picture, you'll see a whole bunch of green lawn in the edge of my tank. So I have to scoot over and shoot at a slight angle so you don't get the reflection from behind me from the patio.
Yep. My tank being, where it is, there's like a living room and like the little dining room. There's so many windows around, which is great for filming for natural light, but it's terrible for reflection. So it's always that battle. So I 100% feel you on that one. You got to find those right angles to like avoid the whatever's in the reflection, but it works.
And if you can shoot at night, that solves a lot of it.
Yep, exactly. So then your tank's highlighting. It is the centerpiece. There's no distractions. It's a good way to do it. There was a good comment a second ago, so I'll start for a tip. I think it was about shooting with all the lights off and stuff too. Curved glass is the devil for filming. Yes, it is. If you look at a curved tank, like a bow front, it makes things look bigger, and it kind of messes with the depth. But yeah, it sucks for taking photos. It's hard to get it clear without it distorting it or being a little bigger or smaller. I don't know. It does kind of mess with you a bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, that's where you have to push it on the glass to get rid of the distortion because it's curved.
Or get a camera that's waterproof and just dunk it under, and then you don't have to deal with it.
Only $349 of this affiliate plan today.
Or just find a used one like I did for like $180 or something, and then I'm like, sweet.
I just love messing with Devin.
Best investment ever. Like half my Instagram now.
No, that's great. That's really cool. I kind of want to get it. I don't mind having an underwater. How deep can you go with that? Does it?
I think 30 feet.
Oh,
Like
I was going to say maybe I could use it when I go diving. But
I thought about that. I thought about it. Snorkeling, yes. It might be 40 feet. I don't know. It's borderline.
50 feet.
Yeah,
15 meters. That's nothing. Dang it.
A shallow dive you could? I wouldn't trust it. They sell housings.
Every dive I do, we start at 30, we go 60, 80, 100 feet.
I know.
It's like
they have housings.
I'm in advanced open water, so I need something to go deeper. So I actually take an iPhone down in the ocean with me in a water shot case.
And you
I have
trust
this
it?
whole harness. Oh yeah, I've been using it for years. Matter of fact, at some point I got to replace it. And I'm thinking, it's an iPhone 6 that I'm using, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And the cameras are so much nicer. I can't even shoot in 4K, because it's so old. Yeah. So it's like I need a new one, which means my water shot won't fit that phone. I need a new water shot. The case has to match the phone size.
Yeah, I just use the GoPro. I thought about it. I'm like, the waterproof housing's like $400, like more than the camera. You're like, what?
I know.
So I was
Well,
like,
when you have a DSLR, it's like it could be 1,200 to 2,000 for the case
yeah.
that the camera goes into.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're down there, if it starts flooding, all you can do is watch your thousands of dollar camera just get filled up with water. And you go up to the surface, you dry it all out, you mail it to Nikon, they send you a bill, and they completely rebuild your camera. And yeah, you cry.
Yeah, you cry. Throw iPhone in a Ziploc. I don't know about that.
No. But they do have these pouches that are like for tourists. Everywhere you go, they have a pouch you can put your phone into. So like if you were going down a log ride at Six Flags and you're gonna get splashed, and you can kind of get pictures through it, or like you're down by a swimming pool or something. But it's not gonna be great for aquarium stuff. It's really just a splash guard.
Well, and a lot of the stuff too, like freshwater isn't as big of a deal as saltwater. Saltwater's corrosive, right? So even this, like every time I use it, I just give it a rinse in like my ATO or in the tap or wherever, just something to rinse off the salt on it. So anything using saltwater, you always want to rinse it after, especially like diving. It's hard to beat the GoPro for a dive camera. It's not as good at nighttime or low light, but if you got a good light, then it takes really good footage. I don't know. So we've got it pretty out there. I've actually seen macro lenses for the iPhone, but they're kind of overly priced. I never bought them. Yeah. But
yeah, I bought one and I hated it. Oh, it's the worst. I bought it from Moment. And it's, about this thick, and you put it on, you had to use their special little bar that you glued to your phone, or you had to buy their case, put the phone in the case and screw it on. But you had to literally like touch the subject with a macro, like a leaf, to get the picture. I couldn't even get a copepod. I was like literally intentionally buying it. It was $100 for this lens. And I intentionally wanted to get bugs on the glass. That was my thought. It's 1/4 of an inch away. It's 3/8 of an inch away. It's 1/2 an inch away. 3/4 of an inch. Nothing. Everything was blurry. So I'm like, well, what good is it? So I went to like a dollar bill and I touched the dollar and I can see how fine, it's made. I went to a leaf. I went to a ladybug, stuff like that, but it had to be that close. And it couldn't be anything that was even 1/4 of an inch away from the lens. Waste of money. I didn't even, I just put it in a drawer. I was disgusted. I didn't think I could even mail it back. I don't know if they'd give me credit.
Okay. So on that note, if you are looking at macro lenses for a DSLR, pay attention to the focus length, because some of them you need to be, within a certain distance. Some you could be further. For a tank, it's probably worth getting one where you could be a bit further away, so you could actually take corals mid-tank. Take photos of corals mid-tank. Otherwise, they got to be fairly close to the glass. So if you are going the DSLR macro lens route, that's something to take into consideration.
Yeah, the focal distance, which is the distance from the tip of the lens to the coral or the subject you're trying to take a picture of, that's a huge thing to know. And if it is like 9 inches, that means literally you cannot be 8 3/4 inches away. It'll be blurry. And so like I said, when you have a big tank like your tank right now, it's a young tank. All the corals are down low on the rock. You've got plenty of water to shoot through. It's no problem. But when you got corals like mine that are literally about an inch away from the surface, I can't do that. So I'm holding a box and I'm holding the camera way back to shoot, which is a real pain in the butt. So I bought myself a 50 millimeter lens that has a way tighter focal length. And I can be maybe 4 inches away from the subject, and I can get some nice shots from above. With that, I couldn't do it any other way. So there are regular lenses, there's gonna be macro lenses, there's gonna be zoom lenses, and then there's gonna be your, I think they're called prime lenses. I think that's right. And that's where you're kind of 1-to-1. You're trying to get really close to the subject. And again, that focal length, so important to know. You have to do your research. Or ask Devin, he'll tell you what to buy.
Yep, there you go. Okay, someone else was asking about those little reverse adapters. So you can mount a camera lens backwards and get kind of like poor man's macro with it. It actually works half decent. I do have some of those kicking around somewhere, or at least I used to for my Nikon, and it does work. I'm pretty sure you got to be fairly close to it. I think that was the trade-off with it, is you got to be pretty close. So that does work.
There's another thing you can use called extension tubes.
Yes, those work well. Those are the best, probably bang for buck budget.
Oh, they're so cheap. You might spend, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks for extension tubes. And there'll be a thin one, like 15 milliliters, and then a 20 or 25, and then you'll have like a 30. And you can stack all three and it becomes 50. And then you put your lens on the end of that. So your camera looks crazy long. But then you can set it up. And the important part about that, if you're going to use a DSLR with stacking tubes, you have to set it up on an absolutely stationary tripod. Or in my case, with my walkboard, I put down a series of my saltwater books on top, and I set the rig on the books to its exact right. I adjusted the focus manually because you have to. It can't be autofocus. You have to focus it manually. And then you had to use the countdown of whatever that Wi-Fi RF timer thing is. So you don't even touch it. You don't want to touch. If you touch the camera, even to hit the shutter, that slight vibration will make it blurry. So you use the countdown timer, or you use the remote sensor thing, and you tap it, and then it counts down from like 5 to 0. And finally it takes the shot. And it might be a super slow, like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 shot. It could be one of those shots. And while you're doing that, a fish might swim right in the middle of the lens, right when you're doing that. And you have to set it again.
Yeah, it's fun though. It is.
Oh, no, it is. It's just, it's one of those things that it's a complete, I wrote a whole article on how to use stacking tubes or extension tubes. And I gave a bunch of examples of stuff I shot. It was really interesting.
Nice. I had some other crazy one before. It was called like a macro bellow or something. It was like this really big adjustable one. So you can get some crazy ranges and zoom with it. But the further you are away, the less light you're letting into your lens, right? So it's a bit of a trade-off. You can get it bigger, but then
that's why you need a longer shutter time. Yeah.
So longer shutter, or use supplemental lighting on it. That'd be good. I don't know. What else we got? Any other tips? I think we've covered most of
I'm sure we have like 1,000 more if we really think about it. I mean, there's just so many little nuances of things that happen with our phones. And okay, so let's say you want to share the pictures you took. Let's say we're using Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram de facto is always a square. But when you upload the picture, you can actually pick to make it widescreen, so to speak.
Yep.
And if you're shooting, let's say you shot 10 pictures of your tank tonight, and you have all these corals you want to share all at once. There's a little icon you can hit, and you can pick more than one picture. But you can't have one square one rectangular one vertical one. It's got everything's going to be horizontal, or everything's going to be square. And so you set whatever you're going to the size you want, and then you grab your whole collection. And then, of course, the next step Instagram wants you to do is apply some weird filter to it. But I usually just skip past that, and then I share it. I put a description, and I share my thing and do some hashtags. But that's another one where sometimes letting it trim off the left and right and just having the square it works out really well. You have to see how the picture looks. And then if you did the wide, like I do all the time, because I'm always thinking horizontal, sometimes let's say I have 10 pictures in there like I did last night, I will then, the third picture, I notice half of my image is off screen. I can slide that one over. Now it's centered. And so you can actually kind of adjust things that way, or possibly zoom in on that one and then go to the next picture and then go to the next and make sure they're all correct before you hit upload. Yep. For me, it's always a matter of, are you uploading your best? I always feel like you should try a little harder. And if it's not right, don't post it. Just do it again and then post it. Because you really can take it over and over. There's no limit to how many shots you can take with your cell phone.
This is true. You don't have to be cheap about film because it's no longer an issue these days.
Same with DSLR. Yeah, I mean, you can just fill up a memory card. Get a bigger card if you have that much problems,
Exactly. Now, with one other thing is too, with photos, for interesting, don't always have a dead center. Like sometimes offsetting it and giving a bit of foreground and background, even if it's blurry, it can give you really cool effects and just make your photo more interesting. I used to be into photography way back in the day, but all these little things can just give your photo a little more interest and stuff too.
You're right. And if you're taking a picture, again, I'm going to iPhone it up. If you're taking a picture and you've got the subject right in the front, and it's something really pretty, let's say you have a Duncan in the front, and then in the background, there's this little orange blasto. If you hit focus, you can actually make it where the blasto is a little blurry, and the whole picture looks better because you're seeing the beautiful Duncan, and you're like, "Ooh, what's that orange thing back there?" It just kind of draws your eye to it. So you can get artistic with just a regular iPhone.
Exactly. And another thing I like to do too is sometimes if you can angle your photo so you have a different color kind of coral in the background that's kind of blurred, it can make your other color pop. So it's kind of playing with color in focus. You can kind of get a lot more kind of cool stuff with it.
And then if you use portrait mode, which a lot of people do on Facebook, they will take a picture of their coral or their tank in portrait mode. Then you have that ability to change the f-stop, to change the focal point. And you can upload it, and they have that weird effect to where if you move your phone around in your hand, it's 3D-ish, and as you're scrolling, you can watch this zooanthid polyp appear and then fold up. And you're just like, what's happening? And this is the portrait mode instead of regular photograph.
So for the longest time, I didn't know how people were doing those 3D photos, and then one day I posted one that was more vertical. I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really give you it on horizontal photos for some reason.
No, I think the real number one rule is just it's got to be portrait mode.
Hmm.
I can't, or sometimes a panoramic shot will do it. Because
Yeah.
panoramic will make you want to pan.
Yep. Yeah, panoramics too. Yeah, so it's fun. So there's tons
And
of little things you
I
can do.
love
Yes.
the widescreen camera on the new iPhone. The
Yeah,
point
it's
0.5,
fun.
because it gives you the entire room.
Hmm.
And occasionally you guys will see me post a picture on Instagram or Facebook, and it like shows my entire room because I was able to do that. Or I can be in my fish room, and normally I would take a picture and you see part of the tank and some wall, and then I hit that 0.5 and it just like you
Double
could
the
see
view.
you can see the Vortex driver, you can see the power panel, you can you can almost see behind me. It's kind of crazy how it does that, and that's super convenient.
Hmm. Yep. Really cool thing. And just different angles even, like normally you're looking straight on or down, like maybe get down and look up at it. Like I've had cool
Yeah.
photos I've gotten of like where the sun was hitting the tank and I shot downward at the base of the coral that was like all lit up. You just get really creative and just different things. Like this is more on the creative side of it, like
Yeah.
Instagram photos and whatnot. But so
Well, if you
just
stop the flow in your tank entirely,
mhm.
you can get down low on your knees or even down on your belly, and you can shoot upward, and you'll get the coral reef reflecting off the surface of the water. Get a
Mhm.
beautiful reflection shot. And what I do in those situations is I tap my phone to focus on the reflection, not
Mhm.
the reef. So the reef
Mm.
is blurred, but the reflection is perfectly crystal clear. And you get this
Mm.
awesome picture that just, it's so cool. And we almost never do that.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't think to lie down and look up at our tanks.
Oh,
And
the
I'm always
best.
telling people, I always tell people, get on top and look down in your tank, but it's very rare that people get down on the floor and look upward.
Get on the floor and just stare at your dick.
Yeah. No, it's
No,
really
it's
important. It's a good.
during water change time when your water's a bit lower and all that stuff, you get those super cool reflection photos like that. Been a
Yeah,
while since
all
I've
the
done one.
coral sticking out of the water. It's like
Yeah,
sticks. Yeah.
and if you have a
What's this
waterproof,
water change you talk of?
yeah. And the other thing I do sometimes too with those ones, totally off side topic, but if your water's here, put your lens just above the water line, and you get the really cool. You get lots of like depth in the water, and get stuff poking out of it. You get some really cool ones that way.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's an awesome idea.
Hmm. But having it as close as you possibly can to it makes a big difference.
And then if
Uh,
you guys want to do something like, again, we're talking about creativity. If you guys are working on your tank one day, or you're doing a water change, like you were just saying, you're doing this water change. If you can set up your phone on a tripod so it stays stationary
mhm.
and set it to time lapse, you can zoom in the lens to show the area you want to do. Basically, use zoom before you hit start and
Mhm.
get it to where you frame the shot, and now hit time lapse and just don't let anyone touch it. And you can work on that tank for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, and then come back and play it back. And you might end up with like a really cool 45 or 1 minute, 45-second to 1 minute video clip to share with the world.
Yeah, time lapses are awesome. Definitely fun to play with. Like the Aptasia ones I did last week. They're
Yeah,
super cool.
love those.
They're fun.
So cool.
Isn't it satisfying to watch Aptasia be devoured?
I like the one that was running away. I was like, what?
I know. You can totally see his little foot like like retreating away, and all of a sudden they're like, "Let's flank them," and like the nudie all came from behind, just like
They did
ah.
flank them. And then one came on top of the pile. Like, is there anything left for me? It
I
was
know.
like this one caught on top. I was like, there's nothing. It's gone. That was really cool. I want to get 20 of those things now myself.
Yeah, so I'm hopefully trying to breed them. So it's funny now. I've been all excited about getting Aptasia lately. So I'm like, yeah, who's got Aptasia locally? And can I get that rock? What do you want for it? It's like bribing people to get their Aptasia off them. But so I've tried to like chop off some like the heads of it and trying to just get it in the tank. And some people said Aptasia X just makes them spread. So I shot a couple of that and all this
You're
different stuff.
feeding them Aptasia X to make more.
I was feeding them reefroids, a little bit
Yeah.
of aminos. Like I'm literally trying to get these things to just explode. So I have a constant food source to feed the little nudibranch. So hopefully it works.
I wonder if you could just put some in a blender and then put the blended mess in your tank and just have a billion appear.
Well, I just took the scalpel and
Yeah.
so I kind of did that.
Yeah.
So
No, I
hopefully it
don't know.
works.
I've never tried to intentionally grow Aptasia.
It's
You
working.
win on that one, Devin.
It's
you win.
working. I put in some egg crate. There's already little baby ones on it and stuff. I'm like, haha. So it's like literally like chopping off some of the heads and making it release spores everywhere, and a couple of reefroids and all different ones. Reefroids last night I fed them, a little bit of aminos. I don't really know what they want, so I'm just like giving them all the random stuff, and so far it's working, so it'll be good. How to upload a video to YouTube without losing quality. One of the big ones is actually rendering it in really high quality. So I haven't adjusted these settings in so long. I use Premiere Pro to edit. If you can do, if you Google Premiere, like I think YouTube has a guide somewhere of what settings they like, and I think it's Can't remember. I gotta look later. But certain ones, and you just give it the settings that they like, basically. So I just tweaked a little profile for what I export for my video, and most different ones will work for it.
Okay, I got some advice. Devin doesn't know, so let me help you guys.
I gotta look. I don't know offhand. I haven't
doesn't
adjusted
know.
the settings in like a
All
year.
right, so first of all, you need to shoot in high definition in the first place. So you want to go into settings, go to camera, go to inside your settings, go to camera, and then you select 4K or the highest your camera can do, your phone can do. It could be 1080p. Once you've set it to the maximum amount, now every time you shoot, you'll be shooting in high def. Then if you were to edit your video in iMovie on your phone or an iPad or let's say you have a MacBook and you're editing, then when you hit export, it's going to ask what quality do you want. You pick the quality you want, which is like you were saying with Premiere where you pick it. And on the iPhone, when you edit, I mean, I use the editor right in my phone and I make little tiny videos. It's really easy. Like I said, I kill the sound. I might do a voiceover. I might add a music track in the background, and then I hit save, and then it'll say where, and I say save to camera roll or save to, they call it photos now. It was always called camera roll, so I always call it that. And then it'll say what quality, and I pick 4K. And then when it's 4K, now you can upload it to YouTube. And YouTube, if you're a brand new channel, you're limited to how big your file can be.
Really?
Basically, they'll say you're only allowed 15 minutes. So you can't upload like a 1-hour video your first time. In the beginning, you had to like earn your way in. Now, maybe things have changed, but I remember I kept hitting the limit because I talk too much. And I would constantly have like a 15-minute and 7-second, it would decline. It was like, nope, your file's too big, abort. I'm like, oh. And I'd have to go, and I try to find 7 seconds to remove. I'm like, all the best parts, the funny parts are the 7 seconds. I'm not removing those. And everything else I said was so educational, I can't remove that. And it was so frustrating. And I finally earned my right to have more than 15 minute. But then iMovie had a limit. Like you couldn't make one bigger than 15 minutes. That was another thing. So I had to overcome both of those. But the point is, save your file, get whatever match, you want to have the best quality, and then upload to YouTube. And then once you've uploaded, it's going to have to sit there a while for YouTube to process it. So if you upload a 4K video that's gorgeous, and then everyone goes, oh, I'm first. You always see first. It's 360p. You're like, no, don't look. It's horrible. And then 4 hours from now, it looks better.
That's a good point. It takes a while to process, and thank you for pointing that one out because I totally forgot about it. When you first put it up, it's like crappy quality. Then like every hour or so, it gets better and better and better. And after 3 or 4 hours, you'll have your full res. So I always upload mine the night before.
Yes,
because my videos come out Monday morning, and I always publish them before I go to bed Sunday night. So totally. So what random.
He's actually doing is he's uploading it unlisted, or like you said to publish. But if you do unlisted, no one can see it. And then after a while, you can go ahead and you can activate it or make it visible to the world, and everyone gets a notification that's on your channel, and they will get the 4K version. And so in Devin's case, he predetermines, it tells YouTube, I want you to release at 8 a.m. on Monday, and that way it uploaded during the night, it processed all night. But I uploaded a huge video, I guess a year ago. It was a monster video. It was like, I don't know how long. It was an hour and a half, something like that. It took them 3 days to process that to 4K. Ooh. Every time I checked, it was still crap. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong? And I kept thinking I did something wrong. And then after 3 solid days, ding, the little 4K thing appeared. And I'm like, yikes. Finally. So,
that is a long processing time.
Oh, it was horrible. I don't know if they were having a problem or if my channel was being ignored.
Now,
really annoying.
It could be that you didn't upload in one of the formats that it's happy compatible formats. Maybe. Right? Yeah. So it could have had more issues if it's not like one of the YouTube recommended formats. So
yeah, could have been. I don't know. I mean, I use Final Cut Pro now. I used to always use iMovie. I still use iMovie on my phone because it's super convenient. But on my computer, I have a souped up Mac. I have Final Cut Pro, and there is a lot of stuff you can do in there to make your stuff look better. I mean, it's amazing what I can. It's actually way more processing power than I can handle. I think Final Cut Pro is designed for Pixar. For these people that really know what they're doing.
Planet 3D said Mark's intros these days are longer than 15 minutes.
You're not wrong.
Oh, so true. Love it. Lewis was saying exposure bracketing on DSLRs. That works really well if your stuff isn't moving. So what that does is it takes a dark photo, a normal photo, and a bright photo, and you can blend them together so you still get details in the highlights and lowlights. It's kind of like HDR in a way, so you just get all that extra detail. But if stuff's moving, it doesn't really work. You got to be super still for that. So I mean, flow off on a coral, you could probably get away with it. Fish moving around, good luck unless it's like crazy high speed and bright lights to work.
I noticed that Waleed asked the question how to make a 1 hour video into like 20 seconds. So when you put the video in your editor, like iMovie or whatever you're using, or Final Cut Pro, you like in iMovie, there's an actual clock you can tap, and you can increase the speed. Or maybe it's a bunny. It's something like that. Like move it from turtle to bunny, and you can make your video go really, really fast. So but it won't be. I don't think an hour turns into 20 seconds. It might be 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But you can ramp things up. You can slow things down. Just know it'll also affect the audio track. So a lot of times you're going to do that. I just mute the audio completely, and then I do a voiceover, and then add music.
Yep, good way to do it. And yeah, you might either have no audio, or it'll be all garbled and super fast, or it's going to be your old audio and then not the new one, and it will mess with it. Here, check it out. I tried to hold up the camera, but it didn't work. There it is.
Oh, another thing you can do in iMovie is you can drag the soundtrack right off the video so it's separated, and then you can speed up your clip, but the audio's still intact. So like, let's say I was doing an interview with Devin at Magna, and then I wanted to like show the entire room. I could like steal some of his footage, push it together. We talk fast, but our conversation keeps flowing, and I'm showing some of the room. I show a skimmer, I show a cleaning magnet, and I come back to Devin and I realign things. I mean, there's all kinds of tricks you can do. You can make it as complicated as you want. I know Devin's all about keeping things super easy, super breezy, but you know, sometimes we want to really take things a little further, and the more complicated you get it, the more effort there is. But,
Yep.
You know.
Okay, I don't know if you can see this one, but super cool. I took this earlier today, but it's like a macro of like the side of an app page on the glass.
So it's pretty. It's like a Dunkin'.
Right? It is like a Dunkin', right? These beautiful things. These beautiful pests. But yeah.
You're like, look at this beautiful dinner I just made for my nudie
for my little nudies. I got them dinner. Yummy. This will become a feast soon. You're not wrong.
Yeah, that's Thanksgiving right there.
There you go. Merry Christmas.
Or wait, is that Boxing Day? Did I get that wrong? You guys don't have Thanksgiving. You're Canadian.
Yeah, we do. We have Thanksgiving. We're just like a few weeks off of yours.
Why would you have Thanksgiving? You didn't fight off a bunch of Indians.
It's an excuse for food. Okay.
Oh, so you don't have a reason. Got it.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, no, we have. You don't know Boxing Day. You guys don't have that though.
No, we don't fight.
You have
we're really nice people in America.
You have Black Friday. We've adopted Black Friday. So we have Black Friday, and we also have Boxing Day, which is like the day after Christmas for sales. Right. It's like, oh, you didn't get this for Christmas. Okay, now go get it because it's on sale. It's like another sale.
Why is it called Boxing Day? Seriously, is it because things are in a box? I mean, what is the actual reason for the name?
Not a clue.
No.
Can you add titles in iPhone movie editor? Yes, you can. There's this little T that you drag it down. It's been a while since I've used it, but I have edited on my phone before, so yep.
Yeah, tap the T, and you'll get like a whole little slew of them, and you pick the one you like. And then when you touch it, it'll actually put the words on the video clip, and you'll hit the X to clear the like place words here. You know, you just clear that, and then you type in what you want. But the thing is, if your clip is kind of long, like let's say you have this 15-second or 30-second piece, you'll have the words on there for all of that clip. So what you want to do is put the words on there, and then go forward like 3 or 4 seconds, and then you want to click on, or tap on the scissors and hit slice. And you'll see a little marker appear, and it looks like you broke the film up. But now you'll have your title for a few seconds, and then it continues. But no one's going to see that except you because you're using the editor.
There you go. Okay, now with that, and if you get fancy, you can do transitions and make it fade in and out, and that's a whole nother rabbit hole. Maybe another day.
No, it's great. Add transitions. Make it amazing.
I love transitions. I usually just use blur. I usually don't go too crazy with transition. Yeah, it's like the fade, dissolve.
Yeah. Crossfade.
Simple, classic, does the job.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Simple.
All right. It is about that time.
Oh, no. I thought we had 2 more hours. Do you not do long streams like a regular YouTuber?
I used to. Now I try and keep them to an hour-ish. We're already at an hour 20. I know.
Like the guy said, my intro's 15 minutes. We've barely talked.
It's just the intro. Well, you're just going to have to come on again. We'll continue on.
Teasing. I get it. We're done. Yep. We have nothing left to say. We have no more ideas. We've used them all up.
It's all gone. It's done. But
nothing. We've covered it all.
I'm sure there's more.
We'll dig. Someone's telling us what the Boxing Day thing is.
Oh, a Christmas box in Britain, a name for a Christmas present. Boxing Day was traditionally the day for servants and the day when they receive a Christmas box from the master. The servants would. Thanks for smoking reefers. Good to know the actual reason for that.
Go home on Boxing Day to give Christmas boxes to their family. So it is. It's a box. The present comes in a box. That makes sense. All right.
So it's not a present.
Because I just picture you guys doing Boxing Day.
Here's your box. You earned it. But yeah, no, good to know.
Yeah. Cool.
It's
Thanks.
always interesting to see. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it today. Mark, as always, thank you for coming on. If you guys
That was fun.
always, I like having you on. Gotta do once in a while. It's good. Gotta sneak you in here. As always, guys, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't checked out Mark's channel, which I'm sure you have, make sure you check it out. Mila's Reef. Did I say it right?
Yes, you
Thank
said
you.
it perfectly.
Perfect. So Mila's Reef, if you haven't checked it out, I'm sure you all already have. But if not, make sure you guys check it out. And yeah, I don't know. I'll steal you on again in a month or so, and we'll figure out some other rabbit hole to go down.
And stay safe, guys.
Yep. Enjoy those reef tanks.